Hey, Dr. Masi Reynolds here. Before we get started, please remember that this podcast is for informational purposes only. The ideas and opinions shared here represent our own and are not meant to be taken as medical advice. Listening does not create a doctor-patient relationship, and we always recommend speaking with a qualified healthcare provider for any health-related decisions. This show is independent of our professional roles and reflects our own personal perspectives. Joel.
Hey.
Yeah, thanks for coming down, man. I appreciate you, especially right after a long day coming down to see us, and I appreciate you traveling all the way here.
No problem.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. No, I think we'll definitely get into how we know each other through, of course, your injury and kind of hammering the details of that, which I'm kind of most excited to kind of get into. But just as important, would love to chat a little bit about, because I was telling Dylan before you came in, I got a chance to see you pre-op, obviously, intra-op. We talked a lot about leading up to the surgery and a little bit afterwards. But surprisingly, and I say it surprisingly because usually I do a better job of getting into the backstory a little bit more of my patients, and got to know you more and more kind of as things went on and through your recovery, and discovering more and more about you, and don't really have a good sense of your origin story. And so I'd love to obviously go through your injury and your sport, but would love to hear more about kind of you and Metro Skateboarding and the Metro Skateshop, as well as what you're doing online and media right now as well. And so I know it's kind of an open and ended kind of question, but just would love to hear where it all started.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a lifelong skateboarder, and so that's everything that started sprung from that.
Yeah.
The skate shop was.
And this is also on the East Bay, right? Oh,
yeah. The skate shop opened up. Our first shop was in Concord.
Yeah.
And we opened in 1999.
Yeah.
And it was like a tiny 1,000 square foot, really small. All the skate crew from that area kind of helped me build out the place, and it was cool. I don't know. The media kind of came from that eventually. But in the beginning, it was just like a group of homies that needed a place to gather and have boards. And
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just started out of the love of the sport, right? And
Yeah,
you guys,
for sure.
there was a need. A community, it sounded like, was a huge part of it, bringing a bunch of people together to have a central hub or a spot where you guys could not just skate, but provide for kind of the community and develop the sport in the way that you wanted to. And then that just propelled into the media component of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And in that area of town, there was only a surf/skate thing, and there was no core skate shop is what they're called nowadays, where it's like the actual skateboarder owns the shop, and you foster the scene, you do movie premieres, you do we built a ramp in the shop where we're we need a mini ramp in here.
Yeah.
It's only 1,000 square feet, so our mini ramp's taking up half the space.
Right.
And then
so they talk a lot about, and read a little bit about a lot of the work that you've done, and of course we'd love to get into how you've been fostering such an incredible scene for up and coming skateboarders, even the underground kind of skating world. And can you talk a little bit about that? It's someone who's new kind of to this, and I apologize, I don't have the language for it, obviously. You know a little bit more about the surf community, and like I was telling you earlier, snowboarding, but tell me a little bit more about underground, and the DIY kind of aspect of underground kind of skateboarding.
So we had all the same kind of core group that helped me build the shop in the first place.
Sure.
Those guys and myself were all filming for a video, and you kind of self-make these videos. So this is no company is backing it.
Right.
You're just out there. Your friend is the actual cinematographer, and you're filming the best skateboarding that you can accomplish,
right.
and then compiling it into 2 minutes or something worth of put it to a song.
Right.
Cut
Put
it
out
up.
there, throw
it out there. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks good.
Yeah.
And while we were making that video, I was like kind of newer to YouTube, and the plan was, we'd put all these parts on YouTube.
Yeah.
And in the process of that, it was like, who's going to be there to see all this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, how is this going to actually enter into the world?
Right.
And so I started kind of like contacting YouTubers and people that were already in the space.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we're doing this video. Like, would you be willing to help us kind of like get it seen or get our number count up or whatever?
Yeah.
And they kind of ran little teasers, different things for our channel, helped us out a ton.
Right.
And as soon as that channel was ready to release the video, we did that. People were like, kind of digging it in our local area and a little bit beyond.
Sure.
But as soon as the video was done, then people from other areas had seen us do that and were like, hey, I have a local video that me and the homies made.
Right.
Would you be interested in doing that?
Yeah.
And it really just all came about organically, where I was like, well, show me the video. Like, what are you guys doing out there in Milwaukee or in like Florida or whatever place they're in.
Right.
And they would send it. And if it was good, we were like, well, sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we'll put that out.
Yeah.
And it was like, we got this little bulk, which was maybe 1,000 people at that time. But on YouTube at that time, like 1,000 people was enough to generate some kind of buzz or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got the 1,000 people. These other communities started getting in touch, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of Metro, the media aspect.
Side of it. Yeah.
But I was still running a skate shop that whole time. I was like trying to make a living in retail, which is
so hard.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
So like, but my passion, I don't think, was ever for retail.
Right.
And so I think my passion was more in that, finding somebody that's really good at skateboarding that nobody else knows about. That was always cool, where it was almost like finding a band that nobody's ever heard about. And you're like kind of hoarding it, but you want to get it out there. You're like, everyone should know about you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Being a platform, then be able, because there's no one else was doing that at that time. Is that
no?
Right. Yeah.
No, this was like the early days of YouTube, and then it was the same thing for us on Instagram. It was the early days of Instagram, and it was still a photo sharing app. And then we're sharing some skate photos initially, where it's like, oh, I'm a photographer from wherever they're from, like all over the place. And I shoot these great photos, and I'm like, well, cool, someone should see that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, stoked. And and then the skate camps too. I want to talk a little bit about that and how that transition came to be. Is that something that came out of the videos, or that something came out of the skate shop itself, and then you were able to transition that into the camps and stuff that you're doing right now? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. So.
Yeah, the camp was my wife does horse riding, and so she runs Blackhound Equestrian, and she had been building her business on this property that's like 46 acres in Castro Valley, and as she was building that up, we got the opportunity to move there, but at this point we didn't have any kind of ownership or anything. We were just living there. And I just instantly just saw the potential of the place. Yeah. Like I get there, and there's this garage with just like tractor parts and old refrigerators and just crappy stuff. And I'm like, this would be the sickest place for a bowl. Like, I need to build this awesome skate thing here. And the guy was, the guy that we were negotiating with was Stu, and he was the owner of the whole thing. Yeah. And he was like, I probably shouldn't say that in case he ever sees this. We may edit this out.
We can edit it out, no worries. Yeah.
But he's like, oh, like he's trying to sell us on moving in there. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. I just built a mini ramp at my place in Martinez. Like, I don't know if this 46 acres with giant spaces is gonna be enough for me. And he's like, oh, we could do something. And I was like, but in my mind, I'm like, wow, I just hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
And so like, it was like, as soon as we had a little equity in that place, like we started building concrete ramps. Like we got all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah.
And then the skate camp opportunity just came from friends that teach lessons already. They're really into it. And another friend that was into like the art design aspect of skateboarding. He had done graphics for Deluxe, Real, and Anti-Hero and all these guys. And he wanted to have kind of a side project. And that was what the skate camp spawned from. It wasn't like a master plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're enjoying it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got through with work, like if you can call it work.
Yeah.
I taught a bunch of kids new tricks this week and just like.
I was going to say is that I'm fortunate enough to work with a lot of athletes in different disciplines, and for you to be able to create a life out of something that of course you've loved your entire, life and a kind of career out of it was that always in the plans, or is it just, I'm going to keep skating and I'm going to keep being involved as long as I can in this, and I'm not going to ever get the 9 to 5, and I'm going to figure out whatever I need to do to just still be part of this scene and make money in this scene. So
you hit the nail on the head with the, I'm just not going to get a 9 to 5. And that was like the retail was, even though it was in skateboarding, I had a skateboard shop.
Right.
It became a 9 to 5 of my own making, where it was fine. Oh, I'm the owner. That's cool. Yeah. And people look at you and they're like, oh, this guy's just uber successful. Like he's raking money in or something. And it's like, as an independent skate shop, none of those guys are making any money.
Right.
The margins are too small.
Right.
Nobody's like making a good living at this thing.
Yeah.
And everybody who still runs a shop like that is doing it 100% for the love. And that's why it's always like, support the local skate shop, support the local surf shop. That's,
it's so, we're seeing that in industry with everything too, is that they're coming in and getting bought out by larger entities and parent companies. And unfortunately, and you may be seeing it in industry too, is completely changing the culture and the reason why people even want to buy it in the first place, right? That's more kind of brand specific, but the same thing's happening to shops that do end up becoming successful enough to get bought, and then all of a sudden they're no longer core, right? And then they lose what brought people to them in the beginning, which is the authenticity and the community aspect of it. It seems like community is a huge part of why you do what you do, right? And continue to support those who are all trying to do exactly what you did, right? Is to be able to stay in the sport and be long in the sport as long as you can. Is that something you're always, that's something at the forefront of your mind all the time in all the decisions you make, business and otherwise? So,
I don't even think about that portion. Like I totally, that is the thing that we do, but it's not I'm not like, oh, I think all my decisions are based upon just like time being the most valuable commodity that you have in your life. And I love skateboarding. So anything that brings me closer to the act of skateboarding, that's what I go with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how it's a skate camp now instead of a skate shop.
Right.
It's like the shop, I was on the phone placing orders. I was dealing with customers in the space, which is fun. Like all that, I love all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, if there's like if you're talking about a decision-making thing, that's the decision where it's just like, I want to be on my skateboard.
Right.
Like,
oh, I love
ideally.
that.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm 50 years old. My time is dwindling down.
50 this year, right? 50.
Yeah, 50 in November.
50 in November. Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah.
Which is another huge reason why I want to get in here, is because you're still obviously charging. And I think that comes through with, your YouTube and your Instagram and the media that we're blessed to be able to see, but you're sharing is that definitely comes through your passion and your love for skating. And then you mentioned it earlier. I'd love to talk a little bit about that. Is you have an incredible style. Like I could literally watch you skate all day long. And I know what you said earlier too is tricks are amazing. And the news, it's always cool to push and evolve the sport. And have a deep appreciation for that, but just as much, if not more, is perfecting the actual maneuver and
Yeah.
and really focusing on the nuances of the maneuver itself,
Mhm.
even if it is a simple maneuver. Can you talk a little
Yep.
bit about that, Phil?
Yeah. I mean, I as a younger kid growing up, like the people that I watched were definitely surfers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when you talk about style, that was my first exposure. Before I was a skateboarder, I surfed, and that set the, like, if you see in my skating, I'm drop knee,
Yeah.
like that straight,
Yeah.
Jerry Lopez,
Absolutely. Yeah. Feet are a little closer together, less of
yeah.
that wide stance.
Tom
Yeah.
Curran, Kelly Slater.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like they all have that thing, and that's what I wanted to look like on a surfboard.
Right.
And so as I skated more and it became that's what I love to do, like I was adopting that kind of style that was in my brain onto the skateboard. But like the nuances of a trick, it's just like they say the 10,000 hour rule,
Right.
like 10,000 hours to master anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you just hone in on it and you go and you go and you go, and you can see that with like skateboarders, like there's a master. This is what I thought of for a series, honestly.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what do we do next for like a series? And this
Right.
was like an idea that I had been like mulling over. Just go in on the person that you think does this one trick the best out of like anybody
Right.
that you've ever seen, and how interesting that would be I mean, you have to be obviously like a fanatic
Yeah.
about skateboarding
Yeah.
or about surfing, about whatever it is you're
Absolutely.
doing. But like, just like how did that person get to that level of perfection in just doing that one simple move?
Yeah.
Which could be like in skateboarding, like an easy trick would be like a backside 5-0 grind, or
Yeah.
frontside feeble grind nowadays would be considered like somewhat simple.
Right.
But there's people that do it
So many variations.
so well, and just the way the body moves and the way that the board moves, the way they land, like there's so many little tiny pieces of the thing.
Small little nuances.
Yeah.
To it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've come to appreciate that more and more, talking with my patients, and especially the ones that I think subscribe to that, right? Who are students of, and I think obviously most at high levels are, but Parker Coffin comes to mind, the Santa Barbara surfer. I don't know how much you close, but goofy footer, and reminiscent of like Tom Brady watching film on on the defense, right?
Yeah.
Or other professional athletes watching film, like studying and studying hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And even like taking a regular footer and flipping it, mirror imaging to a goofy footer, right? And to looking at the nuances and the subtleties of that. And not that it should be surprising, but so impressive how much time and effort kind of goes into studying those maneuvers in order to replicate them in ways that obviously suits them. And you do want to steal a little bit here, but you also want to make it your own too, based on your body style or your body habitus, your position, and how you skate too at the same time, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So it's really cool. I chat with him a lot, and Parker, and when I do get a chance to see him, but he posts a lot of just videos and just sitting there studying, the maneuvers that he's wanting to reproduce.
I do the same thing for skateboarding. Like anytime I see somebody do something that I think is like the pinnacle, I'll record it on my phone, and then I just like I'm scrubbing through, like frame by frame scrub throughs, and I'll do it so many times. Where you're just trying to pick up like, the weight is on his toe. Like, it's all in the back toe.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're gonna find, but like, there's secrets to every little thing.
I love it.
Things that make things much easier.
Dylan and I always talk about what is our version of that, like when we're like obviously working on this podcast, but also just in things in general, like what is our version of that? I'm like, should I be studying surgeons in their hands? And but no, I say that jokingly because we do similar, right? As much as medicine is a science, it's also an art, right? And you go to meetings and you talk to people, and there are subtleties in a case where you obviously have the check marks that you have to, match, and things have to be right. But there are certain situations that there's a little bit of a gray area where you can put your touch on it, right? As a surgeon. And we don't necessarily watch film, but it's more so in conversation and picking and choosing. And then obviously it's a gestalt, if you will, over time that you develop, not only in the diagnostic aspect, but also in the procedural aspect of it as well. That is very much your signature, if that makes sense. And
I could see you studying some surgeons. Like, can you get that film?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I know. How funny would that be if we just sat there?
Yeah, you're like, oh, look at this little thumb flick.
Yeah, exactly. He throws that. It's so true. And I actually really like, and I have only really come to think about it a lot more through conversations like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, we are kind of doing that in our own little way all the time. And so that's so cool. Cause I mean, I can see that you do that just even in the captions and the comments and the way that you are showing, your style as well, is that it definitely comes across that you're very, intentional about it. And so I say that in all the positive ways, and I want you to know that it comes across for sure. So
thank you.
Yeah. So I get a lot of opportunity, like I said, to be able to connect with amazing people through injury and recovery because of the position that I'm in with sports. And a lot of reasons why I wanted to have you on, obviously, is because of your background, but also because of how you approached your injury afterwards. Can you talk a little bit about your injury specifically? And I'll kind of elaborate on that a little bit. Tell me what happened back in, was it 2023, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I know you don't necessarily want to repeat it per se.
I just don't want to look at it.
Yeah, you don't want to look at it.
It's just because of the same thing that I said. It's not that I'm squeamish.
Yeah.
It's that, like,
you're past it. You're beyond it.
Yeah. It happened in the past. I don't want it to have any bearing on what I do moving forward. And I don't like those images of just like, I always say when I'm skating, part of the thing is like end the day on a make. You even if you're struggling with whatever it is you're doing, like take the struggle through until you land something and you're like, okay, I can end on a positive thing. And that's, I think, why I don't want to see that. It's just I'm not trying to program myself to the negative things that can happen on a skateboard, and they're plentiful. Happens all the time. Is that
let's unpack that a little bit. Is that something that you discovered really early on in the evolution of your skating and obviously coaching, or is that something that came because of the injury itself?
No, I think I've always been like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of it is just like, you don't want to see another person's pain and suffering.
Right.
So like, but a lot of people love it.
Yeah.
Like those bail videos that Thrasher puts out that we were talking about. It's like a Hall of Meat video. That's their most viewed piece of content. Is this guy toppling over a rail and smacking his head into a wall on the bottom of the thing. And it's like,
it's entertaining, but it's not.
I mean, it's to me, it's not entertaining because I do I'm a participant. And so as a participant, like, I don't want to think about all those things. Yeah.
And you coach that in your camps or when people that you're working with and
I definitely I read a lot of sports psychology.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. And so a lot of those takeaways I try to coach into the kids that I work with. And that's part of the takeaway. Deliberate practice is another thing that I'm like just into, where it's like practice just beyond your level of comfort.
Right.
So you're like, oh, I can do this trick every try. And if that's all you do when you're on a skateboard, you're not accomplishing anything.
Right.
But if you're doing the thing that now you have to like 180 out or flip in or the same thing that you're comfortable with, but just slightly harder, and you're falling because you're always going to fall on a skateboard, surfing too, I'm sure, like you're always going to fall. Like, if you're on that cusp of like making and falling, then you're progressing.
Yeah. I love that. So I'm guessing visualization and imagery is a huge part of your coaching as well.
Yeah. I do that. Like, kind of like my routine, if I'm trying to land something in the day, is visualize before I go to sleep at night. And so at night I'm just like conking out thinking about.
Yeah.
And it's like it's weird, like they say, like, don't look at it as a video,
Right.
like don't see yourself as outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I learned from the books that I didn't really think of, because I always saw myself as a skate video.
Right.
It was like I see
Third person.
all of me. I'm gone. I'm in third person.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, visualize it like looking down at your feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Your own POV.
Yeah.
Right.
And I started doing that, but it's still like, I think it's because I grew up watching skate videos. So I'm like, I see myself like the finished product presented on a skate video.
Sure.
And not so much like looking
what
down
your
at my
what
own
your
feet.
what your point of view is.
Yeah. Which maybe have held me back for these last however many years. And now I try to mix them where I'm like, okay, here's what it looked like from my feet going to sleep. Here's what it would look like when it's recorded. And done.
Yeah. Gotcha. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's funny.
So I mean, that's exactly why I wanted to bring it up, because right before we got recorded, obviously you mentioned not wanting to kind of replay that. But if you don't mind, I'd love to hear what actually happened, because I don't really recall. I mean, I know it was an injury, but can you take it back a little bit?
Yeah, it was at skateboard camp.
Yeah.
So we teach. There's 4 of us that are always teaching. Yeah. And so you kind of get little breaks where you're not skating the whole day, but you do have like, I got 3 kids and they all want to learn something on this ramp, which means I get to take turns with the kids and I'm learning whatever I'm learning. Right. And we were trying to film a line, and I just did a lean to tail, which is a trick that I've done a million times, like not a hard trick. I came up a little short on speed. And when I tried to, because I was short on speed, I kind of like was leaned in, and you should be on top when you enter the trick. Yeah. And I just like thought I was running out like any other bail. Yeah. And as I was running down the ramp to save myself, my knee just buckled, buckled sideways because I was on like a vertical surface. Yeah. Yeah. And it was weird. Yeah. Like I thought I broke my leg, but then it snapped in, like it was right back into place as I got to the ground. Yeah. And at first I was just like, that was weird. I like dislocated my leg.
That's what it felt like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I think I just dislocated my leg for a second. And I just didn't know what was going on. Yeah. And then, I mean, I got up off the ramp. I was limping around. As skaters, we're used to the thing. So absolutely. I hear football players talk about the ACL injury and they're getting carted away and stuff. And we're just like, I'll walk home or do whatever I got to do.
That's exactly right. That was because that was going to be the next thought or the question is that I'm guessing just kind of like, we'll see how I respond to this one. Yeah.
I for sure it didn't enter my mind that I'd torn my ACL. Yeah. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, I dislocated it and it,
because I'm sure you had things in the past and
stretched some stuff out and in a couple weeks I'll be okay.
Yeah. And this was, we'll get into the details of it. Is this one of the worst ones that you've had, or you've had what other injuries have you had? What other, anything of significance?
I've broken my ankle. Broken my foot.
Those are a little more obvious,
arm.
Aren't they?
Yeah. But it's like after this, I'll take the ankle break. Any day. Yeah. Like a bone is so much easier.
Absolutely. No, and that's what I see every day in my practice too. The same thing. So, so swollen, painful. I'm guessing. Yeah. Where did your head go? What were the next steps on?
So I saw like a natural. I just kind of started looking up stuff. So I was like, what is like? Still didn't think I'd torn my ACL. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, my knee's like kind of feeling weird. I'll go see this thing because I was interested. I had read in one of those, like, I think it was Nar Country is the guy's book. Yeah. He's like a cross country skier. Yeah. And he talks about the PCL?
Yeah.
Is it the the injected therapy stuff.
Oh, PRP.
PRP.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm
PRP and
thinking
stem
of.
cell. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he was talking about PRP and how he had some kind of semi-traumatic thing, went in, got it injected, and it was like good as gold.
Yeah, all
and I'm
good.
like, oh,
Yeah.
this is my time to go try that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'll just go to this lady in Walnut Creek that
Yeah.
does this therapy,
Yeah.
and I'll just get it.
Not a bad thought.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I went right into her, and she just was like, you probably tore your ACL. And I'm like, what?
What is it?
No.
Yeah.
And then she did the little like stress
exam,
test.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, your ACL's torn. And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
And
like,
that-
now what?
Yeah. And then I was like, now
Yeah,
what? And
yeah.
then, so now I'm like, oh my God, do I like really need to get surgery on my knee?
Yeah.
Mm,
Is
Yeah.
that like 47 years old and right?
Yeah.
46, 47 at that time? Like that.
Yeah. It would have been like,
Yeah.
47.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, it's not something I wanted to do,
Right.
certainly.
Right.
But then I got lucky enough to find you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I looked up, I did my
yeah.
research.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
Yeah,
We're talking
exactly.
about
That's why
that.
I'm here.
So
I was like, in our area,
yeah.
like, who would be the guy?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's what I'm getting at is
Yeah.
the level of understanding that you came in with and
Yeah.
the amount of research and the ability to have the higher level conversation about not only just the injury itself, but also all the different options out there to either repair or reconstruct them are just, you're way ahead.
Yeah.
And that's very rare. We're seeing it more and more. I think information is readily available now, but
Yeah.
you also have to know what you're searching. You also have to have the questions in order to find the information that you're kind of looking for. And
Yeah.
I was super impressed with how much research you had done and how much you already knew what
Yeah.
I think was needed. And not to say that patients are always right when they come in with what they need, but at the same time, you were pretty spot on. And that's just based on you doing the deep dive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just like a lot of internet sleuthing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I want to get back on my skateboard as fast as humanly possible. That's the onus where it's like,
yeah,
how do I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of that is describing, because the way that we used to, and we'll look at this here, but the way that we used to think of ACLs is like, you're either pregnant or you're not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like either you have an ACL tear or you don't, right? And with that, there was a specific procedure that went or goes with that ACL tear, right? But over the course of the last handful of years, 5 to 10 years, we've discovered that there are variations in ACL injuries that potentially could put you in a position to not necessarily have to have a full-on reconstruction where we take out your ACL and we're able to salvage your ACL and able to repair it and actually keep it. And the issue with that, of course, is you have to have a surgeon that understands the nuances of that, but also the technical acumen to be able to perform, the procedures that are available. And you came in knowing that, and that was that's I guess what I'm getting at, is you were very impressive with knowing, okay, like I think, and I don't know if you didn't have actually eyes on your MRI, but you came in knowing you wanted to at least, if possible, salvage your ACL, right?
Just because I think that about everything. Is like the human body is amazing. Yeah. If you can utilize what's already there, that's always the best route. Like I don't want steel in my I know when I fractured my ankle, they wanted to put a plate in there. Yeah. And I was just like, respectfully, I'll just decline. Right. And they're like, well, if you don't put a plate in there, then it's going to be really painful when we set it, because we have to set it at this weird angle. And I was like, okay, do that. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
Especially if you have the luxury of, not just luxury of time, but also patience, right? Like, because yes, sometimes we can intervene to help speed up the healing process, and maybe not the healing process itself, but like allow you to do a little bit more earlier on, versus if you allow the human body to do its thing and support it in a way that we all know how, you a lot of times don't need that hardware in there, right?
I agree.
And I think sometimes we are up against the gun when it comes to time, if we're dealing with contracts and seasons, and I guess that's the importance of treat each individual patient as an individual is not have a cookie cutter approach to it. But I have that same philosophy, and I tell patients all the time, listen, you have options here, right?
Yeah.
We can plate this absolutely 100%. We can put steel or titanium in there and we can fix things. But here's what would happen if you don't fix it, right? And there's a chance that you can get this to heal. We had Chris Burkhardt on a couple months ago with an ankle fracture that he talks a lot about, and he's still, he's does a lot of endurance cycling, is an adventure photographer in of himself and an incredible athlete, and had the exact same approach that you did, which is, okay, I don't love having a lot of foreign stuff in there, and I believe that if I do, I want to make sure that I try everything possible short of big surgery to do that. And in that is entertaining, has entertained and has done the stem cell type stuff, the PRP procedures to get things to heal, and same thing with other parts of his body. So I had that same philosophy.
I could tell that. As soon as we had our first conversation, I was like, okay, he understands. What I'm trying to do.
And it's a unique position to be in, because I do very much understand that I do operate and we do fix things and we have to intervene. But if we can throw all the options out there, and if we can respect the human body in a way that we put it in a position as best as we can to allow it to heal itself, and sometimes a little more support than others, then not only are we going to get the best outcome possible, but we're going to minimize the collateral damage that comes with some of those bigger procedures too, right?
Yeah.
So,
and the mind is a powerful thing.
The mind is a very powerful thing.
Where it's like, if you believe that thing's going to hit, that would explain the ACL guys that recover with nothing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we could go into the weeds of that. Absolutely.
Which I thought about.
Yeah.
I definitely was like, I might be able to just fix this by thinking about it. But I'm glad I saw you.
No, and I'm with you on that, and it's actually kind of has my gears turning a lot too, just because some of the things that we're seeing, especially since I'm really big on the regenerative medicine stuff, kind of what you said with PRP, bone marrow aspirate, concentrate, stem cells, peptides, nutritional support, as well as IV, type support. We're seeing things that, gosh, especially unfortunately sometimes in our younger population, just because of all the the biochemical aspects of them being able to heal, and the biology and the physiology that happens a little bit at a faster rate. But procedures that or injuries that we for sure, like 100%, that's surgical, right? And we're seeing outcomes of non-operative management of them just because for some reason they were in a situation where they couldn't have surgery of, like what you said, healing. And if the mind is aligned with the body and you give it the space, right, and you make sure that anatomically things are good, then they're healing, right? And
agreed.
But also respecting the fact that what you do on a board and what a lot of my patients are doing in their sport is taxing the body in the way that it's, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily designed to withstand. And so it's, I kind of have to balance all that.
We don't know how long it's going to go.
Yeah.
We've got, there's people ahead of me that everybody's just watching these guys where it's like, all right, he's 65.
Yeah.
He's still doing it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So.
I get bummed like a Tony Hawk. One of the forefathers is still going strong. Like he comes out with new tricks all the time. I don't know how old he is. I'm assuming like pushing 60. Are you gonna look it up? How old is he?
I'm pulling it up.
How old is he?
My guess he's 60. Low to mid 60s.
58.
57.
57.
Okay.
So he had a little span of time where he was like, this is the last 720 I'm ever going to do. Three spins in the air. 2.5 spins in the air. 2 spins in the air. My math is bad. 720, 2 360s. And he would like say, this is it. Like you're never going to see one of these from me again. And he would like tough it out, struggle through, land the clip. But I was like, I didn't like that at all. Where I'm like, if you could do it that day, why couldn't you wake up 2 months from then and do it again?
Absolutely.
And I guess I just didn't agree with the finality of it, where it's like, oh, this is the last time I'm ever going to even try.
Do you think it could be less of a physical thing and more of a mental?
I think it's mental.
Knowing. because it's not that he can't continue to push to do it. And I use Kelly Slater's example too with that, is that sometimes, unfortunately, and most times, is that it just requires more and more physical and mental fortitude and preparation to be able to continue to do it. And maybe that gets exhausting. I can't speak to it obviously myself, but that potentially get exhausting over time. So.
Yeah. I assume it's like is it worth it?
Yeah.
It's like, I've done this trick before.
Yeah.
I've made it look good. It looks like I do it how I do it.
Right.
Is it necessary for me to do it when I'm 65?
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. I want to see it.
Exactly. You're like, there's no reason to stop. Yeah.
But I'm not in his body, so I have no idea.
I hear you. And it sounds like your mindset is, no, you're still evolving. You're still getting better. You're still learning new tricks, and you live what I preach all day long, is that age is chronological, right? There's physiological, biological, mental, emotional age, right? And then there's kind of physical. And I feel like we can do a ton, and obviously love talking about it, like from a physical standpoint, to kind of keep us going. But it seems like it's more like, here for you, right?
Yeah. I think whatever you believe you can achieve, essentially, where it's like, if I think I'm 65 and able to do what I do today, I most likely will be able to. I don't know though. I'm not there.
Well, you're charging still, so you will be.
Thanks.
So yeah, I mean, the bounce around, but you came in, and I want to highlight this because it's super important, and you did touch on it a little bit as far as your research and kind of looking into doing the least amount possible, if anything, to get this thing to heal, getting your mind on board with it, having the education, self-education to come in and have a conversation with me to be able to articulate what you want, and then kind of hear what I have to say about it. And you had, a complete rupture of your ACL, and with that, a lot of what we call bone marrow edema on it. I'll kind of highlight it here. So this is the outer part of your left knee. Oops, I'm gonna correct that here. So the outer part of your left knee is over here, the inner part kind of over here. The ACL kind of runs in this direction. And what happened is when you came down, your knee kind of buckled and shifted, and then this part of the bone banged up against this part right here. So you sustained a pretty good, we call it a bone bruise or bone contusion on that side. And you can see that all through here. And that was the initial pain and the swelling that you had afterwards. But you pulled the ACL off the top. And that's the differentiation that we make, not to get too much in the weeds now, but that's the differentiation that we've recently started making is, one, yes, you have a torn ACL, but where is it torn, right? And yours is kind of torn off the top right there. And you can still see that the fibers are intact, meaning they're linear here, which means it didn't completely disrupt the sheath. Exactly. It wasn't like sometimes we describe it as like a horse's tail, where it tears and just poof, fibers go everywhere. And the ACL has this sheath that kind of goes around it, and it helps, one, from a supportive standpoint with blood vessels and kind of nerve endings, but it also keeps everything kind of intact. And if that sheath gets disrupted, in addition to the tear, that's typically when those fibers go everywhere. But yours, for the most part, was kind of torn and kind of hanging right there, and kind of close to where it was. Even though it did stretch, it did tear, you did get that classic bone bruising pattern that we all look for to know that the ACL is injured, but it was kind of torn proximally. And a lot of patients come in, and especially with more and more information now, they're asking about kind of the repairs and the things that we're doing, and a lot of times we can't do that. But when you came in, you asked about the bridge enhanced ACL kind of repair system, right? That Miyake is putting out right now, and then they've done a real good job of advertising and talking about it. And that's where we take a collagen implant and kind of slide it over that ACL repair to improve the soft tissue structure of the ACL, to almost use as a scaffold for your cells to kind of grow in there and grab onto it. That was, if I remember right, that was what you came in and you're
that's
like,
what I read about.
Yeah, that's what you read about.
Like,
yeah.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah. You're like, this sounds right as well. Yeah. And and obviously the biological aspect of it as well kind of spoke to you, but did you get a chance to see the recovery times and everything else like that? Was that a big part of your decision? Yeah.
I just search videos of people that had it done, and then just listen to them talk about their injury and how long it took them to get back to doing what they do. I think the recovery time was honestly like about normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had done the other procedure
Mm-hmm.
from the people I talked to that had it done the other way,
Yeah. Yeah.
it may be about the same.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of just like
Keeping your own ACL. Yeah.
it's all like there's nothing like a cadaver.
Nothing foreign in there. Nothing.
Foreign,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that too. And the best part about it, and there's a little video on here kind of showing. So this is what I was talking about here. So you can see your ACL here, right? So if I want to kind of draw it. So this is your PCL in the back right there.
Mm-hmm.
This is the ACL. And this is pretty much completely intact all the way up to where it inserts. So we split it up into two bundles, the anterior medial and in the posterior lateral bundle. And you can see that the bulk of that is completely intact. And the only area where it's disrupted, as you can see with my shaver, is up where it inserts off onto the bone. And so I think you're right. If you would have, just based on the proximity, if you would have just left it, it probably would have scarred in a little bit. You would probably would have been a little bit more kind of specific about how you moved it in the rehab protocols. There's some research that shows out there that you have to keep your knee in a certain position for a certain amount of time to get enough scarring tissue in there. But I don't think it would have been tight as it would have been if we didn't do the repair.
Right.
And this is just with the probe there, as you can see that it's up there, and I move the probe around, you can see it's kind of torn off, but it maintained its structure. It held, and it stood up there for whatever number of weeks after we saw you. And part of it is, you can see it's kind of held onto the top right there, and so that's why we're able to salvage it and keep it. And so what we ended up doing, of course, as you know, we just passed a couple stitches in there, pulled it up, put the repair in there, pulled the stitches through, and then really just pulled it back to where it belongs. Up at the real tight up against that the what we call the lateral wall. And then of course the collagen, the bare collagen implant over the top of it, and then your own blood and PRP and everything even on top of that as well to improve the healing and kind of not just speed it up, but just make sure it's a lot more robust and a lot stronger. I think I don't have any more other fancy videos of it, but there's a good finished product of it here afterwards. So this is after when the blood and everything's kind of going in. There's a little bit of a seatbelt that kind of goes over the top as well. And I think we talk about speed as part of the reason we do these. More important, exactly, I think what you seem to prioritize as well as me, is making sure that we do as little as possible and add as little foreign as possible and utilizing our own cells. But what we're seeing too with the repairs, and you saw it too as well, is we can get it to heal, but it's how the body responds to it, and not just the body, the mind-body connection, and then the mind itself, right? And so physically, a lot of times our patients are ready, but that proprioception and the body's ability to know where it's at in space and respond the way that we want it to respond with the speed that we want to respond in sometimes takes a little bit longer, even in the setting of a repair versus a recon. Because even though we put it back and it's yours, it does have to repopulate its blood supply. It does have to get its nerve endings in there, and that ACL does have to communicate to your body, and your body communicate to the ACL in a way that you're able to perform the maneuvers that you're used to kind of performing at a high, very, very high level. And we usually say the higher the level of the athlete, the longer it takes, because of the demands that you're putting on your body. Just walking, just running, just even cycling, that sort of stuff. You do it all day long, but when it comes to performing the maneuvers and the tricks that you're doing, that confidence takes a long time to come back. So
No, it was really good for me. I'm not even joking. I set a timer on my phone for 4 months. I would be skating after ACL surgery, so I was ridiculous.
Oh really?
And I did. But it's like painfully. Like my knee was not ready in 4 months to actually do anything outside of what I would consider like walking on a skateboard. I'm not gonna mess up this axle stall.
Thank you. You went mechanical on it. I love it.
And because I did that, like in the long run, it benefited my skateboarding. Because I went back to absolute basics. And like we were talking initially about like, a trick, maybe you do a 50-50 grind, which is like a really simple thing in skateboarding.
Right.
But because you're so much beyond that, you don't actually go to that like fundamental thing. Right. And because of that, I was just on my fundamentals forcibly for 2.5 months,
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
like until I hit like a 7-month mark, and then I started trying to get a little
Yeah. Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
ambitious.
As most athletes do.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I want to touch on that a little bit. I think it's super important because of the cultivated mindset that you had leading up to this injury and how you approached tricks and the visualizations and everything. Like, how did that serve you in what I call the trenches? Meaning, like, where did your head go? Obviously, there's this, similar to the patterns of grief that we have to, the stages, I should say, of grief that we have to go through. But how did that transition happen? Right, one, recognizing your injury, doing the research and understanding what you needed, talking to me, but then the act of actually going through it is a whole nother, level. And tell me a little bit more about kind of those trenches and yes, being very compliant and almost being robotic about it in a way. But how was your headspace?
I didn't like, there's a thing where it's like you just live in the present.
Yeah.
And like that happened. Mm-hmm. And it didn't enter my mind that it was like I mean, obviously you're like, okay, this is bad. Mm-hmm. But it's what you can make of what life kind of sends your way. Right. And so
you didn't let it affect you at all.
No, it didn't. It was just like
you became super,
wake up the next day and I'm just still doing what I would do with this little nagging thing. Yeah. And that's kind of what I mean, that's what it was. Yeah. It's just like, oh, my knee's just not 100%. And that's okay. It's going to be back to 100%
right.
In time. And so you wait that time and then it's good to go.
Yeah. And it seems like super patient. It didn't necessarily you didn't feel that itch to, a lot of times our athletes obviously fall into a little bit of a dark spot, just not being able to do the sport that they love the most and created a life around. My guess is putting that timeline on there and you're just like,
I have so much stuff that I shelve every day.
Yeah.
That like I should be doing. Yeah. Like right now, I probably should be doing something.
Yeah.
But I shelve that stuff. Yeah. So when something like that happens, I'm just like, okay, this is an opportunity. Yeah. I am going to all that stuff that's on the shelf. Yeah. I will tackle all of that. Right. And so for 7 months or however long it took to like be back. Yeah. I did skate camp stuff. Yeah. I did YouTube
You kept busy.
Stuff.
You were able to keep busy.
Yeah. Just kept busy. Read lots of books. Yeah. Read sports psychology. Read caught up with friends. Yeah. Like sometimes I'm so busy skating. It's like,
sure.
I don't even have a social life sometimes where you're like, all right, here's friends. Yeah. It was a good time.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I'm grateful. Yeah. For the bad. Yeah. If that's considered bad, like it wasn't that bad.
Ah, I love that. I often talk about the gift, right? Like, I have a couple young patients coming up this next week, similar injuries to you. Some we're able to repair and some that we're not, unfortunately. But either way, we're definitely less mature and evolved in the way that they approach their injury. But I tell them I know you're not going to think about this now. I know this is going to sound crazy, but at the end, there's going to be a gift that comes from this, right? I think you alluded to a little bit, but what was that for you? Like, what was the gift of this injury?
Just being able to do those things that skateboarding usually blocks out. Like the act of skateboarding blocks me out from, I focus my mind so much on the things I want to accomplish on a skateboard that a lot of things are just left behind. Yeah. And so the gift is just being able to fully experience
Sure.
Like,
Absolutely.
And then the other gift is like, I learned how not to fall better. Like before the injury, I would fall more often, and now I'm a more consistent skateboarder. Yeah. So like it helped the thing that I endeavor to get better at. Yeah. Like without that, I would not be the skateboarder I am today.
Yeah.
And like I'm happy. I'm like, I mean, not in like a braggadocious
No,
sense.
no, I
but
wanna
like,
hear it, yeah,
But
yeah.
like I'm like satisfied with where my state of skateboarding
Yeah.
is like now.
Yeah. How much before like PT and everything did you were you focused on the physical aspect of it with regards to like longevity and continue to do the sport like forever and ever? Has that shifted, or is that just something that's been part of your program forever and ever? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I try to eat healthy.
Yeah.
I do lightweight physical therapy type exercises, but I'm not very adamant about, like, I'm not hitting the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like that old mentality of skater where we like drink a beer.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good.
Yeah.
You skate for rehab, right? Skate to yeah.
Yeah. Instead of stretching,
Yeah.
I warm up by doing my easy tricks.
Yeah.
Like I'm not out there, you know, like I have a process, but it's not what a sports trainer would look at and be like, oh, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like this is how it should work.
That's the beauty of the individuality of it, right?
Yeah.
And doing it in a way that works for you, that allows you to keep doing it as long as you can.
Yeah.
Right?
But putting the right stuff in your body, I'm like pretty adamant about that. Like I eat whole foods.
Yeah.
Don't eat much meat.
Are you
yeah.
What about supplementation? Anything else that you're doing right now to keep charging?
No.
Yeah. What's next for you? What's exciting you? What's on the list? Oh.
So just building more, adding on to the skate camp.
Yeah.
Like every year that we do the camp, I get different ideas for like, oh, we should do and some of it's skateboarding where it's like, oh, our concrete park up top needs more flow. Like different things that would like send the lines through the park better. But then there's like, I think these kids would like a zip line. Yeah. I should probably make one of those. Yeah. We got a bunch of
Yeah.
trees. You can do that.
No killer.
And then content wise, what I was saying, I want to make something else because that new show that we did, we're not doing it any longer. And so I have like a block of time, and I almost needed that time to decompress where it's like, oh, every Sunday, Gary and I would film Skate Line, and that was like a blast.
Yeah.
That was just me hanging out with my friend and making jokes about skateboarding.
Right.
And something to fill that time slot would be really cool. And like I think a lot about the maybe pass on sports psychology knowledge. I'm like, do something like this where you're just like, what? Like, here's a 50-year-old skater's take on what you could do when you were like 18. And your level would be like jumping up like crazy. Yeah. Or analyzing style aspects of skating. That's another thing that appeals to me. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah. But I'll be having fun.
I love that sports psych component of it as well. I think that's not necessarily my arena, but recognize the importance of it in, I mean, any athlete, right? Not just high level, but any athlete. And whether it be through injury or just the grind itself. And I don't know, going back, I guess, kind of curious, is that wasn't taught, you just kind of figured that out on your own. That wasn't, you didn't have any mentors, anyone that.
No. Yeah. I think it was just a process of getting older where it's like, okay, now, like when you're young, you depend upon your body and your body's like, you know, I'm 100%, I'm 18 years old. Like, I can do anything I want. I can jump down this stair set and, you know, smash on the ground, compress my spine, and it's fine.
And you bounce right back.
Yeah, I could do it 50 or 100 times. And then when you get to a 30-year-old's body, a 40-year-old's body, and now my body, you're more methodical if you want to keep doing what you're doing at a high level. You get more methodical about it, and you're like, okay, I can't actually do that action 50 times anymore. What I can do is map it out, learn the movements on something small and not intimidating. And that's been my new program where it's just like a 2-foot ramp
Right.
and just learn that movement and do it until it's like you can do 1 out of every like 3.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my like criteria nowadays. If I can do 1 out of every 3, then I can go to something bigger.
Yeah.
And within 3 tries, it should happen.
Right.
And I haven't risked my body that much.
Right.
Like, yeah. And that's the new path forward for
I love that.
old people. Like, yeah.
It's working too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what the surfing equivalent of that would be. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's different ways that you can, just like in skating, there's different elements of skating that where you can raise the bar, the trick itself, right? And then the size of the trick and obviously what you're doing that trick on. Surfing, same thing. I think waves of consequence, right? Certain size waves. And then now with the aerial game, things have changed so much in the wave pools. I feel like it's evolved so much. From my perspective, we're seeing things in surfing that we've never seen before with regards to injury too. Just because they're, athletes at a younger age are exposing themselves to different things. And I think that we'll see more and more evolution because of the number of wave pools that are kind of coming up. And I think
I could see that. That's the equivalent of the 2-foot ramp.
Yeah.
So it's like if the wave is the same every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's reproducible.
Yeah. You just get on, you fall.
Yeah.
You get on again, you try it again.
Yeah.
And like, it's gonna. I mean, it wasn't around when I was surfing. I heard we're getting one in Alameda.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
You didn't know that?
No, That's awesome though.
Yeah, there's some proposal for like a wave pool / skate complex in Alameda.
Oh, that's killer. No,
like,
I haven't
wow,
seen.
Cool.
I know they just got one in Arizona. Obviously, Palm Springs has their version. Utah was looking at one. Different technology than like the Kelly Slater wave pool, which is a very different. I think.
Have you been to that thing?
Yeah. Oh man, it's you got to get out there.
I want to go there so bad.
It's as much as the as awesome as the wave is, and just having that much time on a wave to, do a turn like, okay, I'm gonna do a little bit different, right? And then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again, and have that multiple times throughout a day it speeds up that evolution so fast.
I would imagine.
Yeah, but even beyond that, like, just the experience that they've kind of created around it as well. It's all the lifeguards, the water safety, the staff, the team, the meals, everything. It's a very cool experience.
That's awesome.
Selfishly, I'd love to see that as like formal physical therapy for our surfers as well, to get them out there, right? Not for me to be in the wave, but to be out there and see. And there's a lot of work that's going on in the backgrounds with, at least for me in the biotech world, with real-time kinematic feedback on joints and what's actually happening to those joints. There's devices that you can wear that have force transducers and have ultrasound on them, and can actually see what like a knee or shoulder or hip is doing in real time, and so you can actually see the stability while they're performing those maneuvers, and in hopes of preventing injury, but also to see where athletes are in their progression and whether or not they're quote unquote return to sport, because that's one of the hardest things for us is to really know when someone's ready to go. And some aren't as, I guess, in tune, as you were and are with your body, and aren't going to take and put yourself in any sort of position to risk, where you don't need to. And, they will go out there and, my quad's back, I'm just going to go. Right. And not
just go like they never took a day off.
That's exactly. Absolutely. And so it becomes a little bit more difficult for us to kind of bring them back and kind of slow them down. And there are metrics, and there's a lot of research in and around when a patient is quote unquote ready to return to sport. But at the end of the day, it's like, we really don't know. Time is an element. And we have the single 8 hops, and we have all these things, but ultimately, like, you have to get into your sport to rehab. And that, like, you just slowly, incrementally
I
increase.
When they cleared me when the physical therapist cleared me, I did not feel
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know how many months it had been, but they're like, okay, you completed all these things.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you checked all the boxes. Yeah.
I know what I have to do on a skateboard, and I am not there yet.
Yeah. Like, I remember that. You're like, you're feeling pretty good, but still, not there.
Yeah. Like, it's like, I could ride again.
Yeah.
But like to do it.
And that's that advanced proprioception, right? That's that body, like, and most of the time it's a feel thing, right? Yes, it's a velocity thing, meaning the body's ability to kind of respond to what you want it to in that moment, not just to perform the maneuver, but more so to protect, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't realize how often we are compensating or protecting from certain things, right? Like our ACL doesn't tear all the time just because we fall, because our quad or hamstrings or calf, everything fires to help kind of protect it at that time. And it isn't, unless something like what you described, it just happens, one, and two, not paying attention, and also the preparation and the ability that you have now through your rehab and through time to be able to fall a little bit better. So all that stuff kind of comes into play, but ultimately we don't have a way to quantify that, right? The body's ability to kind of respond and react with that proprioception in the real time. And that's something that's just eventually the athlete just knows, you know, and gets to the point where they can trust it. And what you said, obviously, the earlier portion of that is super important, is that if you commit to it and if you give your body that time and you're complying in the earlier phases, it gives you a lot more, one, you're going to heal better, but two, you're going to put yourself in a position to be a lot more confident to trust it when you actually do have to put it to the test a little bit later on too, right? Whereas if there's any sort of variability in the beginning, you feel like you're rushing it, your body's not going to lie and your mind's not going to lie to you, you know, with that. And that's what I've seen a lot in my practice. So, and you lived it too. I mean, you saw, like,
no, I feel that.
Yeah. So any other things, any other projects? I mean, obviously you got the skate camp, you know, videos, anything else that, going on. And I guess the next question is, where can people find out more about you? Where can people support? Where can,
we're at, as far as next things.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah. It'll be, I want to travel more, and I just want to skate. That's what I've been saying.
I love
it's
it.
Like, I want to go see some of these skate spots that I've seen in a magazine or something that might be in Barcelona or somewhere in Texas somewhere. Like, just go to those things and see what I could do on them. Yeah. Because that's the whole time is running out thing. It's like 50. Yeah. In 5 more years, would I even be able to do what I imagine on that thing? So I have no idea. In the skate camp sense, just build it out more. Like, it's going to expand and get bigger and more fun. And the kids have so much fun now that, like, it's going to be insane. Yeah. I imagine we're going to, in 3 years, 5 years, maybe we'll have like the coolest destination skate camp. Oh, that's right. Awesome. Now it's like a day camp. I don't know if it's going to go beyond that, because some of the parents actually enjoy that. Yeah. But like, it could. Yeah. You don't know. Like, it'd be rad to be able to open it up to kids from elsewhere. Right. We had a kid from France hit us up this year that was just like,
killer.
We want to come out to your skate camp. Yeah. And I was just like, is this like a 9 to 3 pickup type of skate camp?
Yeah. Summer skate camp.
Yeah. This isn't that. We don't have food. We don't have. Yeah. So we'll expand in like some of those directions, I think. Yeah. You find us at Metro Skateboarding. Yeah. MetroSkatecamp.com is the website for the camp, and then Metro Skateboarding on Instagram and on YouTube is the place to see what kind of skating's coming out of the place. Yeah. And so whenever we have a visitor, we'll like broadcast their footage. And
killer.
Yeah.
Do you run all the media, or do you have someone that does it for you? Like
I
the
do.
Instagram? You do.
Yeah. But it's like I don't do that much anymore. I'm like, I mean, there's things that go up, but like compared to how we were, I'm feeling lazy. Yeah. In that aspect.
Fooled me. It's pretty incredible.
Cool.
All right, yeah. Any questions for me? I know we've had a chance to chat, obviously, in and around injury quite a bit. I appreciate you taking the time to unpack a little bit about you and your story, and especially the mental side of it, which was, it's awesome. But anything for me?
I think just like the first question upon entering was just like, what do you want to accomplish with the podcast, and how do you fit it in to being like a full-time surgeon? Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Surfer.
Yeah. Well, a surgeon, a doctor that surfs, as I like to say.
Doctor that surfs. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And where does this fit into the puzzle, and what is the
end goal with it? Yeah. Good question. like I said, I've always been inspired through my ability to sit with a patient and talk and unpack a little bit of their story. It's a very important part of me and my practice and the procedure that I'm performing, to get to know the patients as much as I possibly can in the short amount of time, so that I hopefully can provide the best, not only just approaches to their procedure, but also the procedure itself, and then the experience in and around the procedure. I think everyone has different goals, and sometimes it's just getting off the couch and taking a walk down the block. And sometimes it's 49 going on 50 years old, continuing to evolve and skate and pushing the limits, like you are. And in that approach, like I said, I've been able to recognize that a lot of patients and athletes like yourself have something pretty special to share, in even if you don't feel like it's that big of a deal. And even just what you said about the mental approach and how you looked at things, how you handled the injury, what your mindset was on that. There's so many people that come into my office are so lost in that, and it would be amazing for them to have somewhere to go, to be able to just hear. And they don't have to be the best of the best in the world. They don't have to, but just to hear that someone else has been through the same thing. Yeah. And this is how they kind of approached it, and this is their story. And to have a library to be able to share stories in and around injury and in and around recovery, whether it's surgery or not surgery, that could all collectively come together to be able to serve and help in ways that we never really had. And yeah, I love talking about this stuff and nerding out about this and showing what we're doing. And it's not so much about here's who I'm taking care of, but more so here's what they have to say, and showcasing their mindset behind, because everyone sees the comeback, right? Everyone sees the follow-up and the return, but no one really talks about where the head went during it. No one really talks about the trenches. No one really talks about the approach, right, or the process. Yep. And so that's kind of why, I always had this. God, I would really love to share their story. I'd really love to talk to them a little bit about that. I'd really love if they were able to share this with this patient. And then I was blessed to meet Dylan through my clinic as well, as a patient of mine who had, he was a patient who had a lot of talents and has, I should say, a lot of talents. And long story short, we'll definitely unpack his story, but we're able to put our heads together in ways that to develop the way that we wanted to do it. And it started with kind of telling the patient's story initially, but now it's come down to I really just want to sit down with them and talk with them, almost like they're in my clinic, because that's what I love the most. I love what I do, but I think if I had to really break it down, what I love the most about what I do is connecting with awesome people. And so the goal of it is, I don't know, is just to have a library of hopefully inspirational stories and opportunities for other patients to learn from each other. So
cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate the hell out of you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks,
you
brother.
for making it possible for me to continue doing what I do.
Oh, I love it. I have
and
to
for checking in too.
Yeah.
Like this is.
Yeah.
You probably got to experience this too, but what doctor is actually like following up 3 months with a text and being like, hey, how you feeling? It's really special.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things. So
I appreciate that.
I can send your way. I always do. And
well, I always, I have to assume it's always running in the background. My wife is like, you just have to relax sometimes, because I always, until I don't know what completion truly is, honestly. Following you and watching what you're doing on a skateboard, it's just, I get the goosebumps sometimes. I really do. And you're way more inspiring than I think but I always have to assume no news is good news if I'm not constantly kind of, checking up on people. And I think that that's okay for the most part. But I also kind of knew, or at least felt early on in your case specifically, is that you had a good approach and you were confident with it, and you kind of had it, right? And so I always care, but for you, I just wanted to make sure, is there anything else I can do to support you? Because I know you got it, and I know you had the mental, side of it going in and even afterwards, but I just wanted you to know I'm here if you need me at all. I know, we're pretty far away distance wise, but just know that I'm available and I'm here if you need anything. So
it's a rare thing. So, don't take it for granted.
No, I appreciate it. And I love what you're doing. I love you know, that you're charging. I love that you're not using age. I know you think, you know, you talk about it a little bit, but you're not really using it as a reason to slow down and to,
to speed up.
Only to speed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm using it for.
And I love that. And you're proof that you can be the CEO of your own health. You can guide this. And I think we as practitioners need to collectively work on listening to our patients kind of a lot more. And not to say that we need to listen to them in the sense that we have to do what they say, but more so be able to meet them where they are, right? To come in and be like, okay, this is what you've read and I understand that this is what you want. However, right? Based on this, you know, we can't, but here's how we can potentially, you know what I mean, work with you on it as well. And so, the level of knowledge that you came in, and I'll keep saying, was pretty damn impressive, man. And now kind of, because I didn't really understand or didn't really know that background with regards to your mindset. I think it's it's pretty incredible. So
thank you.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming down. I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing a little bit about your story and your background.
No problem.
Yeah, killer.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.